Do you find it difficult to come up with content ideas for your podcast? Or perhaps you've gotten stuck during an interview with a guest where you just have nothing to ask anymore? Try Poddex today. Poddex is the best all-in-one podcast idea generation tool. You get everything from episode ideas to interesting conversation starters for interviews, engaging discussions for your live streams, and even social media content ideas. With this tool, you don't have to spend weeks trying to come up with content for an episode or unique questions for your guests. Just shuffle the cards and pick one at random, hit the record button, and get started. Now you can make better content, have more fun while you're at it, and get your viral moment, all with Poddex. Head over to poddex.com and use code C4C. Welcome to another episode of Sisters in Service. I am your host, Kat Corchado, and this is going to be day 9 of the Content Creators of Color. And my guest today is Skorpyen November. Now, before we go further, I know what you're thinking. You're like, no one's name is that. I thought the same thing. But, it doesn't matter because she's here and she's going to tell us a little bit about her and her business and what she's doing. And Skorpyen, welcome so much thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Kat. I'm excited.
I am too. So if you guys don't know, so if you're on Clubhouse, you definitely know who she is. Okay, if you're not on Clubhouse, you've probably heard of her podcast or even listened to it. So she is a podcast consultant. She's a podcast host and creator. She has 3 podcasts: the Smart Mouth Scorpio podcast,
yes,
the Fix podcast, and If It Isn't Love podcast. And if that's not enough for y'all, she is also a Clubhouse moderator on the Afros and Audio. And she's highly connected with the Afros and Audio podcast community because she was a speaker at the last event that they had. So, wow, I don't even know where to start. So first of all, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Most people have a podcast. You have 3.
Yes.
Why 3? Did it start out? Did you know, or did they just kind of just come out of creativity?
They came out of creativity and a desire and a need to not have one podcast cover all things. To be completely transparent about it, Smart Mouth Scorpio was my first podcast, right? And I was talking about everything. I was talking about polygamy. I was talking about 90 Day Fiance. I was talking about Black social issues, injustices. You name van dwelling, all of it on one podcast. I was like, this is a whole bunch of everything in one thing. And so I developed the other podcasts out of my love for talking about those other things as well. And also not wanting to bombard people with everything, because just because we may align on something, don't mean we align on everything. So I created those podcasts. Yeah.
So I know a lot of people in the content creator market have one podcast. How do you manage 3?
Well, trial and error. I'm going to be completely honest. Trial and error. Almost any mistake that you can make in podcasting when you're starting on your podcast journey, trying to get your footing and all those things. I did it. I'm very clear about that. I'm very honest about that. I did that by just leaving the podcast, not leaving it, going on hiatus without communicating with my audience, all of those things. Taking time off from one while I focus on another, which is not necessarily a mistake, but that's what I do. I'll take some time off from a podcast while I work on another. I'll take time off from all 3 while I reset and calibrate, which is what I'm doing right now. And so those are the things that I do. And I'm very organized. I write down everything. So if I have a thought, I'm going to write it down. If I have an inkling of a thought, I'm going to write it down and jot it down just so I can go back and look at it. And I bullet journal. That's my thing. That's my secret, bullet journaling. To write it down, to create my journal. This is my new one for 2022, right here. And have it right next to me. Because what happens is I like to be able to create it in a way that it makes sense for me. And a lot of journals and planners that you get that are pre-made don't necessarily meet your needs. So I like to create. So as a creative, I like to create what what fills me and what satisfies a need that I have or a desire. So
Absolutely. I do that too. And I learned the hard way. You have this great idea and you're like, okay, you put that in the back of your mind, and then later on you go to retrieve it and it's gone.
mm-hmm.
And it was a really good idea. So I have kind of like what you have, but I've got, sometimes it's just words, sometimes it's phrases, sometimes it's an idea for my podcast, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
go back through and I'm like, oh, and then I'll go back through and highlight stuff that I really want to do. And
Yep.
it just takes stuff, once it's off your brain, it puts some room in there, so that you can
For
put other stuff in
yes,
there.
yes, that is it. It makes room for other creative thoughts and processes where you're not worried about it. Because you ever have something that you're trying not to forget, and you're like, I can't forget this and I can't forget this. So there's anxiety attached to it because you don't want to forget it. And then you're unable to concentrate or enjoy other things that are happening because you're trying so hard not to forget
Not to
something.
forget,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I usually I'll write it down, and it's just a marker for me to be able to go back to it. And sometimes I write stuff down, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking when I wrote this? I have no idea what it means.
Especially when it's the chicken scratch, when you're like, I'm like,
I know.
it says that? I have no idea.
I know. All right. So you're pretty well connected in the Afros and Audio podcast community. So did you have a hand at bringing that about, or how did you get affiliated with Afros and Audios?
Absolutely not. That was not my brainchild. I wish I could take credit for that, but no. Afros and Audio has been in existence for almost 4 years now, if I'm not mistaken. Talia Jasir is the founder of Afros and Audio. The way I was introduced to Afros and Audio is through the creator of the Black Podcast Club that I'm a member of, and that's Blake. I found Blake on Facebook. I was a member of the Facebook group, and he posted, hey, like 2020, he said, there was a post that says, hey, who wants a ticket to Afros and Audio this year? And it was like a few weeks, was it the weekend? I think it was the weekend that the podcast festival was supposed to happen. It was that Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, Tuesday or Thursday. And in my mind, I raised my hand like the excited kid in class when they know the answer, like, me, me. I used the emoji and everything. I was like, me, and so I was like, I'm not going to get it. I know somebody else is going to get it. True enough, I won the ticket. It was an all-inclusive pass. And
Nice.
I attended the Afros and Audio podcast festival, and I've just been attached to them ever since. I stalked them. I was on everything that they had that was happening online. I was there. I was like, post. I was all up in their face. I know they probably thought this girl is obsessed with us, which I was, because I had such an amazing time at that podcast festival. But that's how I became involved with Afros and Audio initially. And then we just developed a relationship from there on.
I love that. So when did you know, or did you know, that you were a content creator?
Do you know, I didn't realize that until maybe a year or two into podcasting. And it was just like, I'm just podcasting. I like this. This is what I do. This is fun. But I wasn't necessarily taking it seriously when I initially started podcasting. It was just something to do, something enjoyable, and a void that I wanted to fill and connect with other people, et cetera, right? And so I didn't know that. And then after looking at what other people were doing and realizing that, hey, I'm creating this from scratch, from concept, ideas, to writing outlines, to putting it out, recording, editing, all of these things, creating clips, creating audiograms, all the things that come with being a podcaster, right? Especially if you're an independent podcaster, right?
Right.
It's a whole nother ball game to be an independent podcaster than it is to be a podcaster that is more of a well-known podcaster, or a podcaster that has a producer or attached to a larger network, because you have people doing some of those tedious processes for you. But as an independent podcaster, this is a whole nother game. I was like, I'm creating this. I'm a content creator. And I knew I was creative from other things that I used to do, but it was just like, I'm a content creator. I'm putting out content. People are enjoying what I'm putting out. They're listening to it. So this is what it is. And I'm going to walk in it and embrace that. I think sometimes we're very humble in those things, when you're growing up, your parents teach you to be humble. Don't be braggadocious. Don't do all these things, right? And you accept that. And sometimes that can be a self-defeating thing. And sometimes that can come with self-esteem issues attached to it as well. Once you embrace what you are, it doesn't, what I've always said, and what I try to feed into other folks is just because I'm confident or you're confident doesn't mean you're owed anything. Doesn't make you any better than anybody else. But
Right.
to diminish yourself to make other people feel better, that's not cool either. And so that's where I'm at with it.
I think being confidence is just being comfortable where you are right now
Yeah.
and what you're doing.
And
And
knowing.
yeah, and I don't think, I never thought of myself as a creator.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought content creators were the authors, the book writers, the podcasters, the people that
Mm-hmm.
could do all of that stuff. And then once I learned how to do a podcast, I was like, hey, I kind of like this. And then you're putting out content and you're like, I'm a content creator. I
Mm-hmm.
like this. I'm really, really enjoying the process. So, what words of wisdom would you give to someone who doesn't think they're a content creator, but they really want to do a podcast? What would you say to them to get them started?
Do it and don't worry about what everybody else has to say.
Right?
You know, that's part of what I do as a consultant. I help people because my belief is that fear is either a motivator or a deterrent, right? And so helping people work past the fear of being concerned of what other people will say or what other people will see. Because I think sometimes it's more about what they think other people will see and interpret their actions as, whether they succeed in their mind or fail. They think if they don't have these certain numbers or if they don't blow up or if everybody doesn't automatically start listening, that it's failure or some sort, and other people will see them as a failure. So what I have learned is that, you know, how other people see me or what they think about me is none of my concern. What's more important is how I see myself. And once you start seeing yourself in that positive light and knowing that you're doing your best and you're enjoying what you're doing and you're doing it with love and intention behind all that you do and that you're not intentionally hurting or disrespecting anybody. And if you see yourself doing so, you correct yourself, then then all is well.
I
All is
love
well with
that.
me, you know. So I keep going. I keep going. Though people are like, "What is she doing? All these podcasts?" It doesn't matter. It's like, okay, if you can do it then. If you don't want to listen, don't listen. I'm not
Right.
forcing you to listen. I'm putting the option out there for you to listen and letting you know it's there. It's your choice whether you click on it and listen or not.
Absolutely. In the beginning, I said that you were a podcast consultant. So tell us what a
Mm-hmm.
podcast consultant does. How do they help?
The podcast consulting can be different things for different folks, right? And some people call it podcast coaching. You know, I consider it under the same umbrella. I call it a consultant. And so for me, what I do is I do a few different things. If you have a podcast and you want me to listen to your podcast and audit your podcast, I can do that and give you feedback and give you suggestions and recommendations on subject matter, how to move forward, how to clean this up, who to reach out to, all these different things make connections for you, right? Also, if you are a person that wants to start a podcast, I can help you figure out what you want to talk about on your podcast, move forward in that way, etc. So it just depends on what your needs are. And if I am not the person that's qualified for that, then I'm going to say, I can't do that.
Right.
Right. In this space, as an entrepreneur, yes, you want to make money, but you also want your reputation, remember your reputation as well, and have integrity in that. And so if you don't know something, you don't know how to do something, be transparent. Say, I don't know this. I don't know how to do this, but I may be able to connect you with someone that
That
can,
can,
or I can
right.
find out for you and then I'll get back with you. So, yeah.
I think it's interesting when people want to, because everyone jumped on the podcast bandwagon,
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason. But it's amazing to me the number of people that got into podcasts because everyone else was doing it because they thought, why not them? And B, when they thought, oh, I could make money at this, and they just jump into it to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember when I first got on Clubhouse and I jumped into a podcast room and I came up on stage and they said, "Oh, you want to make money and you want to, you want to charge your guests, you want to charge your people who listen." And I was like, "Whoa." And it just didn't sit right with me because my audience are veterans and veteran service organizations. I'm not charging them. So you have to really, and even in business, I don't care what your business is, you have to use your gut instinct. about whether something feels good to you enough that you want to move forward. And so it's just like, you hire anybody. So if you hire a podcast consultant and you speak with them and it just doesn't feel right, go with somebody else. Go with Skorpyen.
I'm here.
She knows.
Ding, 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 ding,
She
ding.
knows her stuff. She knows her stuff. All right. So Skorpyen, who are you when you're not content creating? Like, what do you do when you're not doing the creative stuff? What do you do?
Ooh. I'm an introvert, so I spend a lot of time thinking about content creation or reading, spending time with family, those types of things, or stuck in my head thinking about something. I spend a lot of time alone. That's on purpose because I enjoy my own company and because that's how I replenish. That's what an introvert is. They replenish by being alone, and I can't help people. I can't feed into people from an empty cup. I know
No.
we hear that analogy a lot, and it's such a cliche because people overuse it and they just say it because it sounds good to say. But it's a real thing for introverts. If you get an introvert that is interact with someone that is not in the space to really feed into you, an introvert that is depleted, that is not a pleasant experience.
Right.
It's really not. And it's not that we're intentionally being that way. It's just what it is. It's just like starting a car that doesn't have any gas in it.
It's
What
not
does that sound
happy.
like?
It's not happy.
That's what you're getting, right?
It's like, I'm not going
good.
anywhere. But I understand what you mean, because even when we were in the lockdown, people kept saying, oh, the lockdown's been bad for marriages, and I looked at my husband and I was like, we must really like each other because we're still married, and you have to like that person, but we're also introverts a little bit. So I love talking to people, but I have my moments where I just back off. And so my husband has his room and I have my room. And, when I want to be by myself, I close both doors and, we'll connect in the middle sometimes. Hey, honey, how are you? I'm good, and then we go back to our corners. But I totally understand that. I do. I totally understand, because you've got to have that time for yourself. And I don't care whether you're an introvert or extrovert. I think introverts need it more. But I think extroverts need that time to just, you don't want to be out there talking to people 24/7. That's exhausting. It's exhausting. And you need to be able to just pull back and, have a day. My day's Sunday. It's called me day. We don't even call it Sunday. It's me day. And I just get to do whatever I want. So what career path would you have followed if for whatever reason you didn't do podcasting or content creation or podcast coaching or consultant? What else would you have done? Like, what other path would you have gone?
That is a loaded question. Because I will tell you, before I took on podcasting full time, I was the office manager. That's what I did. Did I necessarily enjoy it? No, but it was. I'm the person. I believe that you can use your talents to make way for yourself until you figure out what else you want to do, right? And so, but before becoming an office manager, when I was in college, I changed my major like 3-4 times. As a kid, I wanted to do so many things. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be an actress. I majored in apparel design. I majored in business management, and I finally decided on political science. So my interests are far and wide. So I have no idea if I hadn't gone into podcasting, what I'd be doing.
You could have gone in any direction.
Yeah, I did makeup for a while. I've been a makeup artist for a while. So yes, it's that creative energy where it's always.
Oh, that's why you look
always
good, and I look like warmed over death.
God, you look good. Look, as one of the movies said, you look good, girl.
All right. So where can people find you, Skorpyen, if they want your talents as a consultant?
Okay. They can email me at skorpyennovember@gmail.com. That's SKORPYENNOVEMBER@gmail.com. If you want to contact me via social media, my name is the same across all platforms that I am on. So if I'm on that platform, it's going to be Skorpyen November. And so shoot me a
Awesome.
DM.
All right, so let's move into the second phase of our session. I'm going to ask you some questions.
Okay.
They take a little bit of thought, but nothing really too intense, okay? Not doesn't take a lot of thought. But tell us a talent you have that no one really knows about.
Mm. I think I spoke of it earlier about makeup. I'm really, really, really good at that. I was a makeup artist for roughly 2-3 years. And so I did that for a while. Even had a YouTube channel for makeup. And
Really?
yes, if I had just stuck with it, I could be Jackie Aina.
I love that. I loved makeup. I always said that if I hadn't got into the fitness arena, I would have been an esthetician,
Mm-hmm.
but I would do all the things.
Yeah.
I think makeup is it's wonderful. I love it. It's
I
just a
think
way
it's,
to, it's like fun,
yes,
it's a lot of fun,
yes,
you know.
yes, yes,
All
yes.
right. So if you could pick anyone to play you in the biography of your life, who would you choose? And they can't say no.
Probably, I don't know. You would ask me a question like that, Kat. I
I
don't
stumped
know.
Scorpion. I stumped her.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have an answer for that one.
That's okay. What superhero or heroine best personifies your personality?
Superhero. Do you know, I'm going to be very honest. I don't watch a lot of superhero movies, so I'm not really familiar with them in that way.
That's
I,
okay.
I, I don't know a lot of them. Hmm. I don't know, but I can tell you this. I am very independent, strong-willed, and so someone like that would very much be me.
I mean, you could be your own superheroine.
I sure
Scorpion.
could. I sure could.
Isn't that
Yeah,
a superheroine name? I mean, come
it
on.
is. It is. Maybe I'll make maybe somebody that does comic books should reach out to me. I could be a
Right?
superhero, a podcasting
Scorpion.
superhero.
All right. If you could have dinner with anyone, alive or dead, who would it be?
Okay. Okay. It only can be one, or can I?
You could
Okay,
do
only one.
two.
Okay,
Oh,
I'll
just
play the
for you,
game, right? Okay.
Scorpion. You
Why
can
am I
have
always
two.
trying to buck against the system and change the rules? Okay, so off the top of my head, who would I choose? And I'll choose someone that most people know of, just for the sake of this. Probably be no, it wouldn't probably be. It definitely would be. It would be two. I'll choose two since you allowed me to choose. It would be Toni Morrison and Dr. Betty Shabazz.
I love that.
Those would be the two.
Those would be the two. This would be the dynamic trio. So the dynamic duo.
Maybe they will welcome me in.
All right. What are the top two things on your bucket list?
I really don't have a bucket list. And I don't know why, because I've heard people talk about it so often of things that they must do before they die or leave this earth. My only, and I've never had one. And I don't know if that's because my only thing that I have been trying to work on is just be a better me. That has always been the thing. Not always, but in the last maybe like 8 to 10 years has been my thing, to grow and to be better and better and better, to evolve to a place where I feel like I am a representation. I'm that person that I saw myself being as a kid.
Gotcha. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, to be that
Nothing
person
wrong
that
with that.
I saw myself being as a kid, and the people that I admired growing up as a kid. That's what I want to be. I remember, I'll share a funny story with you. This is going to be hella embarrassing, but who cares? I'll share, right? I remember I was in college and I was learning about, I took a Buddhism class, right? and we were learning about the Dalai Lama, and we were watching all these videos about the Dalai Lama. And I just loved his energy, and I just loved the way that he saw the world. I'm not a Buddhist, okay, but I can appreciate their ideology and their way of being and the way they choose to look at the world and be and exist in the world. And I swore for like a hot week, I swore I was in love with the Dalai Lama. I even told one of my male best friends in college, I was like, I'm in love with the Dalai Lama. He was like, you're not in love with the Dalai Lama. He was like, you may like some of the stuff that he say, but you in love. He looked at me like I was the craziest person he had ever talked to on earth, that I was in love with the Dalai Lama. So people like that have always been people that I've looked at, withstanding that they all have flaws, right? But I've always desired to be in a space where I can exist in that space of being the people that I admire most.
I gotcha. I love that. So now we're going to move on to our next round. This is the this or that.
Oh, it's getting hot over here, Kat.
All right. You ready? You have to pick one.
Okay.
Hot flashes or night sweats?
Considering that I just got hot, I'll take the hot flash since I got to live through it right now because you put me in the hot seat, I guess.
All right. Would you rather have a store where every item is free or a restaurant where every dish is calorie free?
I would rather have a grocery store where every item is free.
Oh. Bad haircut or bad dye job?
Bad haircut, because I've been cutting my own hair recently, and I don't know how well I've been doing at it, but I just
Girl, looks good from here.
I know that's the thing. You gotta play around with it a little bit. So since I got a bad haircut, I'm gonna just take that one because the dye job, I don't think I could pull off a wig. My wig would be, you would see. Oh my gosh, no, my wig would be like Medea's wig. Oh no, I couldn't love it. I'm gonna take the bad haircut.
Oh my gosh! All right, wine or beer?
Well, wine. Yeah, wine.
Zombies or vampires?
Oh, see, God, I gotta pick one of them. I think I'll take the vampires because of the romanticism attached to vampires. I take the vampires.
Okay, are you a morning person or a night person?
It depends. Depends on the day.
How much wine we had the night before?
Yes, it depends on the day.
All right, would you rather be rich and famous or rich and unknown?
Rich and unknown.
Reality show or documentary?
Documentary.
Smartest person in the world or richest in the world?
Shoot, I think I'm pretty damn smart now, but I don't have all the money I want. So I don't. Oh, that's a hard one. You know what? I'm gonna pick riches. And let me clarify this. Not that it's important, but just in case. Just in case. So my daughter is here this one day, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say riches and not smartest, because as the smartest person in the world, that means that you are knowledgeable about some things that you may not be able to handle mentally. So I'm gonna say riches.
I haven't heard that take on that. That's a different one. All right, here's another one. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's a fastball. Bad breath or body odor?
Bad breath, because no one will be able to smell it if you don't open your mouth.
Right? That's what my husband said. I told him that. He goes, yeah, bad breath. And I said, why? He goes, you can just tell people to shut their mouth.
Yeah, no one would know. You can just be like,
Instagram famous or infomercial famous?
Oh, I take Instagram. Because infomercial, that means everybody. Any and everybody. Even people that are online, offline. Oh, yeah, I'll take Instagram. Because I don't really care to be famous.
I hear you. All right, last one. Rich and famous or rich and unknown?
Rich and unknown. I think we answered that one. Rich and unknown.
Did we?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I have to make you answer it twice because there was one you didn't answer. So, well, let's do another one. Let's do, would you rather be embarrassed or be afraid?
Oh, God. I'm not manifesting either one of these.
it this way. Embarrassment goes away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like you trip over a crack in the sidewalk, you just keep it moving. No one saw it. And if they did, they don't know you anyway. So it doesn't matter. Right?
Yeah. Depending on how.
Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it.
You know what? I will, because I know how to work past being afraid and work past fear. I'll pick afraid because I can work past that.
Wow. Look at you.
I can work past that.
I've never had anybody pick that one yet.
Yeah,
So
I can
that's
work
different.
past that. And the reason I say that is because I know how to work past fear. And I believe fear is either a motivator or a deterrent. So I'm going to let it motivate me. So, yeah.
I love
I'm going
that.
to pick that.
So, Skorpyen, we've come to the end of our interview here. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I know you're super busy, but I really wanted you to, be a part of this content creation that I'm trying very hard not to freak out about. So thank you so much for being a part of this. And to my loyal listeners, to my sisters in service, you know what I'm going to say? Please take care, stay safe, and take care of each other. And I am Kat Corchado, and I am a content creator of color.
Ooh, thank you, Kat.